Finding the perfect sensitivity can be a challenge in Counter-Strike 2, but by the end of this video, you are going to have an idea of what sensitivity is going to work best for you. You're going to understand what goes into determining the best sensitivity, and honestly, at the end of the day, the most important things when it comes to finding that perfect sense. But before we get into it, I do have to give you a message.
Thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Skins Monkey. They are one of the greatest and easiest to use CS2 trading sites out there. You can swap out the skins you do not like for brand new ones that are so much more fresh. Even skins that are trade locked can be secured by adding them to your backpack. The greatest thing about the site is that you can buy skins for so much cheaper with a 35% deposit bonus when you use my code, KOJO. Make sure to check out the freebie section where you can get a free skin just by completing tasks. On top of the bonuses, you also get a $5 bonus when clicking the link in the description.
Alright, so the first thing we need to understand about sensitivity is that there's actually two different sensitivities that go into calculating what your overall sensitivity is. Now the first one is going to be with your mouse. Your mouse is going to have a DPI. Now every mouse is different, and I can't tell you exactly what your DPI is for your mouse, but if you have a Logitech mouse using their software, you can find out if you're on 400 DPI, 800, whatever it is. Most mice generally come with 800 DPI when you just straight up unbox it and package it. For me, I'm playing on 400 DPI. Now, a lot of people play on different DPIs. At the end of the day, I don't think it really matters. If you want to get technical and like, technically, I do think that if you're playing on a higher DPI, it is better because your sensor is detecting more like pixels inputs per second or millisecond, whatever it is, right? But like, I honestly don't think it matters, right? I play on 400 DPI. That is extremely low. A lot of professional players, a ton of professional players play on 400 DPI as well, right? So that's the first thing that's going to determine your sense. Now the second thing is actually going to be in your settings. Here we go over to keyboard and mouse, your mouse sensitivity. Now your mouse sensitivity is going to be obviously your in-game sensitivity, and what we're going to do is multiply our DPI by our mouse sensitivity to get our eDPI, which is essentially just our total DPI. For the rest of this video, I'm going to talk about eDPI because that is the most important thing. It doesn't matter if you're on 2, 20, like this number is irrelevant if we don't know what your DPI is. So we're going to multiply this in-game number by our DPI number, and that's how we're going to understand what our sensitivity is for me. So I am 2.0 in game and then 400 DPI, so my eDPI is 800 eDPI, right? So essentially, I don't know what sensitivity is going to work best for you. There's so many different factors that we're going to talk about that are going to determine what is best for you. But one thing I want you to understand is consistency is going to be what is the most important thing. I don't care what sensitivity you play on, as long as you are consistent and you're doing everything you can to continue to play on that and not change it every time you die, every game, whatever it's going to be, right? So now the first thing that's going to determine what sensitivity is best for you is how much space you have. Do you have a lot of space, or are you constricted to a small area to play? If you're playing in a small area, you're probably going to need a higher eDPI because you don't have as much room to move your mouse around. Maybe you have a small tiny mouse pad. You know, you're gonna have to play on a higher eDPI or you're gonna get absolutely farmed, right? Now if you're playing with a lot of space, a lot of room, I would suggest, you know, play on the average, play on the proper eDPI, which is generally the best range for sensitivity I found is anywhere from 550 eDPI all the way up to 1250 eDPI. If you're within that range, you're going to find a lot of success. And you know, you're gonna be in the average where almost every single pro is in if you're in that range, right? Like I said, everyone's different. There's gonna be a lot of different things that determine it. Another thing that's gonna matter is your style of aim. Do you move your arm a lot, or are you more of a wrist aimer where you're flicking around like this, like we're just like spazzing our wrist out, right? So are you more of a Chad that moves it around like this, or are you a little flicker that does like these little motions, right? That's going to determine a lot of what sensitivity you should play on too. If you like to use those mouse flick movements a lot more, then a higher sensitivity is going to be best for you. If you're someone who loves to like feel the game out with your arm and like move around like that, then a lower sensitivity is going to be great because, you know, you're able to move your arm a lot more and you have that wider range of motion, right? At the end of the day, what we're trying to accomplish when we play is when I move my arm this far to this far, it's like I know it's gonna go from here to here, right? So I move my arm and we know like it's gonna be here, and we want to get good where like on our screen we don't even have to think about it and we can do it really fast, where I can like aim here and then come back and look CT without like stopping, right? Now you're always gonna have these little micro movements, and that's so important when you aim, because no matter how good you get at aiming, you're going to have to micro adjust and do this. You're never going to be exactly perfect with your aim, and these micro adjustments are going to compensate for when you are flicking and like you need to move it back. So like if I'm flicking the ticket, those micro movements come back, right? And now in a perfect world, we could just go from here to here without even having to adjust, but that's not how CS works. That's not how our aim works, and it's really good, right? Now let's talk about roles, right? Because roles are going to determine what sensitivity is best for you. Essentially, all I want to do is break it down into rifling and opping. There's a lot more complex things we can go into, but essentially, do you want to be an opper or do you want to be a rifler, right? And I don't suggest that you put yourself in a box and you only stick to that role for the rest of your career, because like even for me, I started out as a rifler and then I become an opper and I found a lot of success. I play in ESL Challenger League here in North America, one of the highest divisions. It's going to determine what is best for you, right? If you're a rifler in general, I would say playing on a lower EDPI is better, right? Playing on that 550, that 600, 700 is very effective, very good, right? And why is that? Because when you're rifling, it can be so beneficial to have a lower sensitivity, because then you can just like move your mouse, you know, you can move your whole arm, and it's a lot easier. Like it's a little hard to explain, but it's like it's easier to hit those crazy shots because you slow the game down a bit. You slow your own aim down a bit, right? You don't slow the game down, but you slow your aim down, and you can be a lot more consistent with lower sensitivity in theory, right? Consistency is going to come from within you, but technically if you're on a lower sensitivity, it becomes easier to hit these crazy shots because you don't have to, you know, have these little jitters and everything everywhere, because your sensitivity is on a million, right? Now for my oppers out there, right? Why is having a higher sensitivity better? Because we are zoomed in and we're scoping around and we want to hit flicks, right? If we're like holding cat, we need to be able to like flick into apps if someone peeks us, or like we need to have a little more bit dynamic aim, right? We have to be able to, you know, be here and move around and do all these things. And if we're playing on a low sensitivity, we're going to be looking like a grandpa out there where we're like, oh, flick and kill, right? And we can't be looking like that. You just can't, right? And I know there is some exceptions. There's some oppers that play on low sensitivity, but in general, if you are an opper, you want to play on probably 700 EDPI as your lowest, in my opinion, all the way up to probably, you know, if you're an opper, that's where you have a little more freedom as like higher sensitivity. There's oppers that play on like 2000 EDPI. I would suggest for you guys 700 to 1200. That range is like perfect in my opinion for oppers. I think that's great. One thing I do not want you guys to mess with, please do not mess with if you're a rifler or opper, is the zoom sensitivity. I'm telling you, this is only going to get in your head, and you're going to start overthinking and playing very badly if you start messing with that. Please, like that, if you take anything from this video, don't mess with those multipliers. Don't mess with the yaw. Is the yaw still in the game? M_yaw. Keep this on the default. If you have this changed, I'm telling you guys, put it back to 0.22. It's gonna make you better. It's like, stop thinking about all these little stupid settings that just like are in there to mess with your brain. Play the game. There's, you know, your settings are not why you're losing. I would recommend guys checking out my other videos on settings. If you found this very helpful, I teach you guys what is best. I would say don't change your stuff a lot, but if you're gonna change it, you know, watch those videos and change it once and never look back. So if you guys want to see me playing live, I will answer any questions you have while I'm grinding to be the #1 player in North America. We're so close. We're getting up there. And yeah, I want to help you guys out. I want to teach you. So go ahead and join my streams over on twitch.tv/CoachOMoCS. I want to see you there. At least just leave a follow. And you know, maybe you'll catch me live someday. So appreciate every single one of you. Let's keep grinding, and I hope to see you at the top. You all have a wonderful day, and good luck in all of your games. I appreciate every single one of you. Peace out. Peace out.